Hey folks, we're recording at Chainlink's SmartCon event, and joining me is Will Peck, who is the head of digital assets at WisdomTree. Will, great to have you.
Great to be with you, Tony.
Will, we were talking before the recordings at the Ondo event, and crypto seems to be booming. What are your thoughts on how this market has grown, the industry has grown?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's interesting you mentioned the Ondo event, SmartCon, which is, about much more than just like crypto exposures on blockchains, right? It's about using blockchains as kind of infrastructure for financial services, right? Crypto is infrastructure, blockchain is infrastructure for more and more real world finance. Maybe real world's not like the perfect term, but like that's exactly what we're seeing more and more of. That's what WisdomTree is focused on. So feels like a lot of energy, at these conferences in New York around that topic generally.
And then you have a lot of TradFi now looking to build with blockchain rails. They're launching ETFs. They are tokenizing. They're launching stablecoins. What are your thoughts on how TradFi has kind of taken over crypto?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my role, I'm head of digital assets at WisdomTree. So WisdomTree is a global asset manager, ETF sponsor.
Sure.
We manage north of $140 billion globally today. And the division I head up is focused on tokenization and stablecoin orchestration. And we manage about almost $700 million, I think $680 million in tokenized products. Our largest product is a tokenized money market fund, WTGXX, that's available on 7 public blockchains, which really the use case is like providing a stable yield-bearing alternative to stablecoins, for example, where somebody might have a lot of stablecoins that aren't earning yield, and they've got certain treasury management workflows or needs that they might have. And our money market fund, WTGXX, provides a great option for them to, diversify, get yield in this regulated exposure. So that's like kind of the prime example today, and we see it growing quickly from here.
Are you seeing a lot of demand from clients for crypto assets?
Yes, so WisdomTree is in kind of the ETF business. We have a Bitcoin ETF here in the United States, and then we've also got a suite of crypto exchange traded products in the European market, where we actually have we were an early mover in that market, have a very strong position there. So certainly there's demand from our traditional clients in terms of crypto assets. That's a very competitive space. And then what we're seeing more and more, what my group kind of does is takes traditional exposures and brings them into the kind of digital assets ecosystem, right? It meets the needs of the on-chain community who are looking for kind of yield, diversification, a host of services that fund managers like ourselves can provide.
What are your thoughts on the Trump administration opening up 401ks to be able to invest into different assets, including crypto? What does that mean for your business from an ETF standpoint?
It's interesting. It's funny. ETFs have been talked about going into 401ks for a long time. It's never really happened because the things that ETFs kind of solve for weren't necessarily relevant in the 401k, which has historically been dominated by mutual funds and CITs. Kind of getting very into the specifics there. So it's interesting what is happening. The DOL, I guess, opening up 401ks for kind of crypto and other assets. Not like a huge impact for WisdomTree's business today necessarily, but just kind of signifies the kind of openness to innovation that we're seeing now from the federal kind of administration and regulators.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned you have a Bitcoin ETP product. I'm assuming you have Ethereum
in Europe, we've got a suite of products. In the US, we just have a Bitcoin ETF.
So my next question would be, are you planning to expand beyond Bitcoin?
Yeah, I can't really comment as a matter of policy on our product development pipeline, but we're certainly, you could read filings out there, things like that WisdomTree is involved in. But I think big picture, it's certainly a very competitive space in the U.S. And, we want to put our, both good product development for the firm, good things for the firm, and also good things for our clients in terms of stuff we do.
What are your thoughts on the SEC's recent update to the generic listing for the ETFs? Is that good, bad?
Oh, I think that's good. I think it's kind of funny. The ETFs, you dated back historically. So I've been at WisdomTree for 11 years, like I was saying before we got on the air, and certainly seen a lot of changes in the ETF industry in that time. And I think generic listing standards are certainly helpful, means that people don't need to go through kind of the 19b4 process like they've historically needed to do in the past, which was just a limiter in terms of doing things that didn't meet these generic listing standards. So I think that's good for crypto ETFs. I think the more and more that the ETF industry and the regulators can get around these sorts of standards that allow products to be listed, it just levels the playing field and allows, innovative ETF firms to come up with products that meet consumer needs, and they can compete on the merits. Otherwise, it can become hard to behind the scenes.
Now, you mentioned you're handling or doing tokenization of assets as well, right? And assisting clients to do that. Does it make sense for tokenized assets to eventually find their way into ETFs or not necessarily?
It's a good question. I mean, I think we're seeing a convergence between these two things, and it'll be interesting exactly how we get there. I mean, what ETFs really are is they're a wrapper that allows a investment vehicle to be listed on a national securities exchange, traded in the secondary market, that invests in some sort of underlying asset, right? And that the price between the ETF share is kept kind of in line with the value of the underlying asset through the creation redemption mechanism, through arbitrage by market makers. And that vehicle, that wrapper, has proven incredibly powerful in terms of bringing kind of liquid exposures to investors within the workflows that they have. In fact, it actually brings even more liquidity to certain exposures like corporate bonds, for example. So, the ETF's been very powerful. I think it's interesting with tokenization where in what you need to think about the specific use cases and problems you're solving for, but there's no need, there's no reason to think that, if you're bringing a novel asset that's tokenized, let's say it's a digitally native issued company in the future, there's no reason an ETF couldn't hold that if it were liquid.
I recently read that WisdomTree debuted 14 tokenized funds on the Plume blockchain.
Yep.
Tell us about those funds and why the Plume blockchain.
Yeah, so WisdomTree's got 14 tokenized funds total. We've tokenized them now on 7 different public blockchains. So these are the same funds that are now available on Plume as well.
Got it.
And so Plume, real-world asset-focused EVM blockchain that's really trying to drive adoption of real-world assets within kind of crypto workflows. Kind of a nice mapping for WisdomTree as well. So there was, we saw the kind of synergy there, the strategic alignment. We had customer demand for it. And so we tokenized our funds on Plume, and we're very excited about it.
That's awesome. And then recently, you appointed BNY, the world's largest custodial bank and oldest bank in America, for digital assets infrastructure. Tell us about that partnership.
Yeah, so BNY is actually, WisdomTree has a long history with BNY. They do a lot for us as kind of a fund manager they do custody, back end servicing, sub-advisory for us. So this is an expansion of our overall relationship with BNY. And really the reason we did it is that, we've got a retail app in the US, WisdomTree Prime, that allows people to onboard through kind of a traditional onboarding process and then access all of WisdomTree's tokenized funds, tokenized assets in there. And you can also move them off platform. So you could open up a WisdomTree Prime account, buy that money market fund, like I said, and then move it into your own MetaMask wallet, which to me is a very cool new user experience, sets up peer-to-peer transferability, DeFi composability, things like that.
Sure.
So what BNY is allowing us to do now is providing the banking rails within that ecosystem. So now within WisdomTree Prime, you've got both banking connectivity, so you can move money from your Chase, your B of A account into WisdomTree Prime. You also can move money over blockchain rails like USDC, PYUSD into WisdomTree Prime and out of WisdomTree Prime. So that kind of connectivity between the fiat rails and the blockchain rails is really what we're unlocking there. So I'm extremely excited about it. We're looking forward to continuing to grow this platform. It just grows the number of people that can hold and invest in our products.
And I'm sure having the caliber of a BNY Mellon as a infrastructure partner helps bring in a lot more of the traditional investors who may not trust certain crypto native firms, not necessarily that they're doing anything wrong, but there's BNY Mellon that's been around for a long time versus others.
Yeah, I think big picture you're seeing a convergence, right? Like I've heard the line, it's not TradFi, it's not DeFi, it's just Fi now, right?
Yeah.
Where you're seeing innovative but established firms like BNY, like a WisdomTree is kind of maybe a more startup-y feel than that. We've only been in our current firm for 20 years, but we're a listed company, traditional finance institution, and, trying to innovate, move things forward. And I think you're seeing more and more of that as I stare at Fidelity banners all around us, right? There's very much that attitude that traditional finance firms are here to play in this in a real way.
For sure. What are your thoughts on the tokenization market and how that's growing and expanding? It seems there's a race going on right now to tokenize equities, money market funds, and so forth, like what you guys are doing. But gold and other precious metals and even real estate.
Yeah. So we're focused on the liquid side of things. So we've actually have our own gold token. We've got the money market fund. We've got equity funds. We've got some alternative vehicles like private credit and alternative income done in a liquid way. So like really doing what we've done well with ETFs and kind of bringing similar type exposures to the on-chain market where there are real benefits that come with that 24/7 liquidity. So look, this is what I do on a day-to-day basis. Like tokenization we think is the future. And right now really serving the crypto native community. I think going forward, we're going to see more and more people coming on chain, and tokenization is going to serve them in ways that they just wasn't possible before. So, like I said, manage, north of 680 million or thereabouts today. And in a year, could we be at $5 billion? I don't know. Like there's an immense opportunity in this new wrapper with this new technology. So we're fully committed to it and looking forward to continuing to grow the market.
When you're thinking about tokenization and the assets that you want to participate with, and then you think of crypto as a global asset class, real-time, instant settlement, all that jazz runs 24/7. Are you also thinking about what other markets can bring in liquidity and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. Like you think about like an S&P 500 ETF, for example. Like there's actually, it's interesting that there's a different ETF in like the US versus the European market versus like the Japanese market that all invest in the same S&P 500, right? And that's just naturally how this developed. But I think what you've seen with Bitcoin and stablecoins is you can have the same asset that can trade globally 24/7, 365. And so I think that's the future, and that's the direction of travel, right? Is can you bring global liquidity where the same asset, the same markets can have somebody from the U.S. trading in them at 10 a.m., on a Friday, and still open for somebody in South Korea to be trading it at like 11 p.m. on a Sunday, right? So like these are, that's the direction of travel. It's what crypto's shown that things can be done very well. I think there's a lot more market infrastructure that can come into power that, but that's very much the direction of travel.
And the other asset or the other side of that is we need clarity. We need the market structure bill. We know government is shut down right now. We're waiting for that to open up and the Senate to pass that bill. What are your thoughts on the impact that will have on the market and innovation? Yeah,
it's a good, I think a lot of people here have been talking about Clarity Act. And, I think the general thing you're hearing from people is that particularly for traditional institutions that clarity, just like having that regulatory clarity gives them a lot of ability to actually do more beyond just the POC stage. But like for a lot of us, we're all not just like sitting around waiting for something to pass, right? Like things have evolved such in a way that in the Genius Act, kind of just greater kind of comfort around innovation, that there's more you can do. So like for WisdomTree, like our products are live today. You can sign up for WisdomTree Prime. You can, if you're an institution, you can onboard with WisdomTree Connect, access these products. We think they are provide a great user experience for that sort of on-chain investing experience. And, we're off to the races.
Well, you probably can't give all the details, but what's on your roadmap? What can we expect in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I think we spoke a little bit about this on my panel this morning. I mean, at some level, I think getting our exposures to fit more and more into crypto native workflows in a very native way is of critical importance for us. And I think we've got made a lot of progress there. We can keep making progress. And then also, like, I think there's a whole universe, like these are all permissioned products right now, right?
Sure.
Like they're not available for like permissionless products, but I think that, I don't know if it's like that barrier's dropping, but like the ability to serve more and more people within the regulatory perimeter and doing it in a, responsible way and also a very user-friendly, good user experience way is completely possible. So, I was, there's going to be a panel tomorrow that Chainlink's putting on around compliance and things like that. So I think those two things going forward is really what we're focused on. And also just continuing to grow AUM and adoption of our products.
Well, great stuff. Looking forward to the future updates, and we're going to have to do a longer form conversation at some point.
I'd love that.
But thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This episode is brought to you by VeChain. VeChain is one of the top layer 1 enterprise blockchains in the crypto asset class, and they are getting adoption by many big brands and companies around the world who are building Web3 and decentralized application technologies. I've been a VET token holder for many years. In fact, I started investing in VeChain back in 2018. And some of the key features of the VeChain blockchain includes it's secure, affordable, scalable, fast, and sustainable. Some of the companies and brands working with VeChain include Givenchy, Walmart China, BMW,
Boston Consulting Group, and many more. Most recently, they partnered with Dana White in the UFC, and Dana White even said recently that he purchased over $1 million of the VET token. And VeChain also recently launched staking, where you can stake the VET token and earn great rewards. So if you'd like to learn more about VeChain, go to vechain.org. Link will be in the description.